I declined my neighbor's suggestion to split a fence for shared privacy. Days later, a wall was built overnight, on my property, with cameras aimed at my yard. I demanded, "Take this down." She replied, "This isn't a wall, it's a warning." But when I noticed the cameras were wired into my power supply, I followed the cables and found. I'm a 44-year-old single dad, and I live just outside Lexington, Kentucky. After my divorce, I bought a small one-story house in a quiet suburban neighborhood. It was nothing fancy, but the backyard was big enough for my son Daniel to practice baseball and for our dog, Rocky, to run around. That yard became our reset button after a rough couple of years. The house next door sat empty for months. I kind of liked it that way. Then Marla moved in. She showed up in a black Escalade with tinted windows and two movers who barely spoke a word. She didn't wave. Didn't say hi. Just watched as her stuff was hauled in. It took her 3 days to introduce herself, and only because I was out back cleaning the gutters and she happened to be walking over. She didn't bother with small talk. "I'm Marla," she said, eyes scanning my yard. "I work from home. I'm going to be putting in a privacy fence along the side here. Thought it made sense to split the cost since it's for both of us." I wiped my hands and told her no, thanks. We already have a chain link. Works fine. If you want something taller or fancier, that's your decision, but I'm not paying for it. Her smile froze for a second. Well, it benefits both of us. I'm not interested, I said straight up. She nodded, but it felt fake. Like she was storing that rejection in the back of her mind. She turned and left. I didn't think about it again until 5 days later. I pulled into my driveway and noticed the shadows looked off. The sun was hitting something tall that hadn't been there before. I walked into the backyard and froze. There was a wall. Not a fence, a solid gray concrete wall. It stretched from the edge of my garage all the way to the end of the property, maybe 30 feet long and 8 feet tall. It wasn't on the chain link line, it was 4 feet inside my yard. I could tell right away because it cut through my flower bed, and my lawnmower shed was now behind it. And if that wasn't enough, 3 black dome cameras were mounted near the top, all pointing into my space. One was aimed directly at my back door. Another had a wide angle on the patio where Daniel and I usually grilled. The third was pointed at Rocky's dog Run. I stormed over to her place and rang the doorbell nonstop. She answered like she had just finished a spa session. Slippers. Coffee mug. Calm face. What the hell is this? I snapped. That's on my land? And cameras? Are you out of your mind? She looked right at me. It's not a wall, she said. It's a warning. I stared at her. What does that even mean? She didn't answer. Just smiled and shut the door in my face. I called the city the next morning. Took them a day to pull up the records. A permit was filed, but not for anything like this. Just vague notes about property improvements. And the kicker? According to the official map and property survey, the wall was 4.3 feet over her boundary. On my property. So now I'm dealing with trespassing, illegal construction, and surveillance equipment aimed at my home. I started digging. Literally. I noticed each camera had a thin black wire going down the back side of the wall into the dirt. They weren't plugged into batteries or solar panels. These things were wired. So I followed one. It ran through the grass, shallow, hidden beneath some mulch. I followed it to my garage, where it disappeared behind a corner. My heart dropped. I opened the side panel of the breaker box, and there it was. She had tapped into my power. Somehow, she had fed those cameras into my home's electrical supply, running up my power bill without me knowing. I called an electrician buddy who confirmed it. She's stealing from you, plain and simple. I called the cops. They came, looked, and made a report. But since it wasn't life or death, they said it'd likely be handled in civil court unless I pressed charges. I told them I wanted to press every charge possible. That night, someone egged my back windows. Big wet splats across the glass. Next morning, Daniel found broken shells in the grass. 2 nights later, Rocky came limping up the steps. His leg was bleeding. I thought maybe he cut it on something, but the vet said it looked like someone had thrown something heavy at him. My son started sleeping with a bat beside his bed. I put up trail cams. I filed restraining orders. I contacted a lawyer. Marla? She acted like nothing was happening. She'd water her plants in the morning, wave to passing neighbors, and blast music when I was trying to sleep. And the wall stayed up. But I wasn't done yet. The cops came by once to follow up, but nothing ever came of it. They said she denied everything. Said the cameras were decoys and not powered anymore. Even after I showed them the photos of the wires and the electrician's report, they shrugged. She says she removed them. The officer told me. If you can prove otherwise, bring it to court. She didn't remove anything. She just buried the wires deeper and changed the camera shells to look like they were disconnected. I knew what she was doing. Making it look harmless so I'd look paranoid. Smart. And evil. Daniel was getting jumpy. He started avoiding the backyard completely. Can't we just move? He asked me one night at dinner. We can't run every time someone crosses the line, I said. This time, we hid back. I talked to a lawyer named Evan who specialized in property disputes. He was calm, sharp, and furious on my behalf. He filed an emergency injunction and ordered a surveyor to come remeasure the boundary. The results? Even more clear than before, Marla's wall was well into my land. Then, a week later, Evan called me with an odd update. She didn't build that wall alone, he said. What do you mean? She hired a contractor, but he's denying it now. Says he was misled about the property lines. Says she signed papers saying it was hers. So she lied to him too. Yeah, but get this, he's willing to testify. He's pissed. She stiffed him on the final payment. That was gold. Now we had a witness and someone on record who could confirm she knowingly crossed the line. But that's when the real weirdness started. One night around 2 a.m., I was woken up by a faint noise outside. Not loud, just this low, buzzing hum. I went to the back window and looked out. There were lights coming from behind the wall. Not motion lights, more like floodlights. Bright white and fixed, illuminating my side of the yard like a prison yard. I grabbed a flashlight and went out. The lights were coming from new cameras. Big, mounted ones. And I could hear a low whir, like a small generator running. I followed the sound and saw a little gray box behind the far end of the wall, half hidden behind some bushes. It had a company logo on it I didn't recognize. The next morning, I called that company. Turns out it was a private security firm, not for home use. These were commercial-grade cameras, designed for parking lots and construction sites. And they had night vision, motion sensors, and auto-recording. They were also not cheap. I called Evan again. She upgraded. And she's filming everything. Evan's voice was tense. She's not just harassing you. She's trying to provoke something. Don't give her the satisfaction. But she already got to me. And now she was doing more. The next day, I noticed the side of my shed had been spray painted. Just one word, but in giant red letters, liar. I reported it. Filed photos. Cops came again. Took notes. Did nothing. Then came the drone. It started appearing every evening around 6. A small black drone that hovered over my backyard for about 10 minutes. It didn't fly over her yard, just mine. I knew it was hers. I waved at it. Threw a rock once. Didn't hit it. It came back the next day. I bought a drone jammer online. I'll just say this, it worked. For a few days. Then my tires were slashed. All 4. Daniel's bike chain was cut clean through. And one morning I found dog food scattered all over my lawn, mixed with broken glass. That's when I broke. I went to Marla's door again, furious, ready to scream. But she didn't open. I rang 5 times. Nothing. Then I noticed the camera above her door was moving, tracking me. Watching. That night, I sat down with Evan and we came up with a new plan. We were done playing defense. If the law wasn't going to protect us, we were going to push it harder. Hit back, legally, financially, and with proof. And if that didn't work, I had my own ideas. Evan filed a formal civil lawsuit against Marla for property encroachment, theft of utilities, harassment, and damages. We requested an emergency hearing with the judge. In the meantime, I installed my own set of hidden cameras. Small, weatherproof, placed inside fake birdhouses and one inside the hollow handle of my rake. For the first time, I was watching her. And it didn't take long to pay off. One night, around 3 a.m., Marla came creeping into my yard. She had a bag in her hand and was wearing dark clothes. She moved quickly, crouching near my back door. In the footage, you can clearly see her pull out something and start smearing it on the handle of the back door and on Daniel's bike, meat soaked in rat poison. I turned the footage over to the police that morning. This time, they didn't shrug. They arrested her within hours. Charged with criminal trespassing, attempted harm to an animal, and evidence tampering. When they searched her home, they found dozens of printed photos of me, Daniel, even Rocky. Some had notes on the back. Aggressive, likes confrontation, watch the sun. They also found a tablet full of surveillance recordings with audio. Yes, she had been recording us the whole time without consent. She tried to claim I was the aggressor. That I had threatened her. And she was protecting herself. But the video of her poisoning the back door handle killed her defense. That's when the other dominoes fell. The contractor she stiffed came forward. He filed suit against her and sent in his own evidence. Photos of the build, emails with her instructions, and a scanned document where she faked a survey map to convince him the wall was legal. We subpoenaed the power company. They confirmed the extra usage and that her devices were clearly linked into my breaker panel. Evan took all this and absolutely buried her in court. Marla was hit with multiple charges. The criminal court gave her 18 months probation, and she had to pay fines and attend a court-ordered mental health program. But the civil case? That was mine to win. We sued her for property damage, illegal surveillance, utility theft, intentional emotional distress, harm to animals. The court awarded me over $83,000. She didn't have it. She tried to appeal. Failed. Then she tried to file for bankruptcy. But because the judgment included intentional and malicious acts, it wasn't dischargeable. Her assets were seized. She was forced to sell her car and most of her electronics. But she still couldn't pay the full amount. So guess what she had to sell next? The house. I watched the real estate sign go up. Watch this, sale pending, sticker gets slapped on 2 weeks later. The best part? I bought it. Through an LLC Evan helped me set up. Used my payout plus some savings. Nobody connected the dots until closing day. She walked in thinking it was some real estate investor. When she saw me sitting at the table in the attorney's office, signing the final papers, her face froze. "You," she said, her voice flat. "Me," I said. "Thanks for the equity." She walked out without another word. I had the wall torn down the next day. Paid the same contractor she screwed over, gave him a tip and a 6-pack. He knocked it down with a smile. We turned her old house into a rental. Put a nice family in there, single mom, 2 kids, quiet and kind. Rocky sleeps like a rock again. Daniel rides his bike every afternoon. And my cameras? They're still up. Just in case. The lesson? You can't build a wall on someone else's land and expect to hide behind it forever. And if you do, don't be surprised when that wall comes crashing down, right on top of you.